happening in a small village that is thousands of kilometers away from here, where there's no cell phone coverage and you have to walk 7 kilometers through a jungle to reach. The last of 12 Gram Sabhas in Odisha have given a decisive vote against the billion-dollar corporation of Vedanta. They're the tribals of Niyamgiri who consider the hills so sacred they won't even till the land. They say they can't allow Vedanta to mine bauxite as it will damage their ecosystem. It's a development that's being heralded as totally groundbreaking because the Supreme Court has given local people a mode of choosing the path of the future, not the government, and it's just everything with the people. On agenda, our experts are divided. On one side, we have environmentalists like Sunita Narayan, who see this as a major victory for tribal rights, and on the other, entrepreneur Deter Rao, who says what's happening is regressive and that all development comes at a cost. We also have a live audience who, like all of us, have lots of questions about the impact that this development could have. And as always, on agenda, the audience is divided. Before we go to our experts, let's just see how the voting happened today and how Vedanta is now reacting to the latest developments.
A resounding no to Vedanta by the last of the 12 villages, just like the earlier ones did. That comes as an embarrassment for the Odisha government that identified the villages out of a total of over 100 in the region for a referendum on whether Vedanta should be allowed to mine the bauxite-capped Niyamgiri hill. The area is home to Dongriakons, a primitive tribe that considers the hill sacred. And as Jarpa village that has just 4 families voted under tight security, emotions ran high as tribals from adjoining villages watched on. Niyamgiri may be a rich source of high-grade bauxite, but of Vedanta has had little to cheer. Repeated protest and legal wrangles has meant that its Lanjigal refinery now runs on bauxite that comes from Gujarat, Chhattisgarh and Andhra, and the plant currently operates at 60% of its capacity. Vedanta says mining will be done 10 kilometers away from the sacred hill Niyam Raja, and restoring the forest cover is very much a part of their plan.
I believe the government is working and we will get our bauxite and we'll make sure our plant keep running.
The state government will, knowing well that Vedanta's 50,000 crore investment is crucial.
The real problem is that there are many overlapping laws. The Forest Rights Act and other acts which have created new rules and regulations and methodologies. Now what this Gram Sabha means obviously is that this is obviously not going to be a smooth process, but we have to keep in mind that when we talk about people's wishes, we have to talk about all the people that are affected by it, not just any small section.
The tribals have spoken, it's their jungle and they don't want to give away an inch of it. This makes it very difficult for the state and the central governments to ignore the verdict of the people. So for now it seems Niyamgiri is a no-go area for Vedanta. The challenge facing the government in the face is how to materialize the vision of industrializing Odisha and keep companies like Vedanta in the state. Reporting from Jarpa village in the Niyamgiri range with Nirmal Sarkar, Anchal Vora, NDTV.
So that brings us to our first talking point, and the question that we are asking on agenda: is the right to vote on projects a welcome one? That's what many activists are calling it. They're calling it radical. Deter Rao, in your article today in the Financial Express, you argue the opposite. Why is that?
Well, I was just pointing out to the history of our country that in 1920s in Mysore we built a dam on the Kaveri. The village of Kannambadi was completely submerged. An ancient temple of Hoysala origin, 700-year-old temple, was submerged. But we did it, and it's not as if we were not ruled by a king who was not a believing Hindu. He was very much. Nalmadi Krishna Rajendra Vadiyar was very much. Vishveshwaraya, the engineer who built it, was very much. But that was the rational discussion rather than a faith-based discussion of whether Venugopala Swami's temple can be submerged or not. Similarly, in the late 40s, early 50s, we built the Bhakra Dam. It submerged the town of Bilaspur, where there were many ancient temples. It's supposed to be sacred sites, sites sacred to Maharishi Vyas, who wrote the Mahabharata. But we still did it, and Bilaspur was submerged, and Nehru described it as a grand temple of a resurgent India. So the point I'm trying to make is not that we were less faithful in 1920 as people, or less respectful of people's faith, but we still took rational, progressive decisions based on cost benefit, based on the knowledge as we knew it at that time, not purely on faith.
I know you're saying it's not purely on faith, but you know, my colleague Aanchal, she's there at the village, and the people say they're not just talking about faith, they're also saying environmentally it's wrong for their area and their ecosystem, because bauxite holds on to a lot of the water reserves and they feel it will become depleted. So obviously there are environmental concerns as well.
Well, then we can have a rational discussion. If that is the issue, we can sit down and have a rational discussion.
Okay, so...
but that's not the issue. They kept saying Niyam Raja Zindabad. You saw it on the TV.
Yes. Well, Sunita Narayan will be taking that in just a bit, but we have some young people over here as well. Before we get on, just some young people who have questions about that. What is it that you want to ask Jerry Rao on this?
First of all, sir, no one will worship if their children are dying of hunger. Firstly, by doing what you are doing, you are punching federalism in the face. Federalism cannot only exist in paper, it needs to exist in essence, and this is the essence. Secondly, reservations are not yielding helpful because of such measures, sir. How will you speak if I take away the right from you to speak at this moment?
Would you like to, this is the argument which many are saying.
Nobody is taking away anybody's right. All I'm saying is, as a country, we have regressed. We believed in science and progress and rational cost-benefit analysis and discussions in 1924, in 1948, but somehow in 2013, we seem to be saying irrational faith will determine. It's like the Setu-Samudram project. I object to it because I think it's environmentally bad. I think the cost-benefit analysis shows it's useless. I don't object to it because Rama's bridge was there. That's a silly reason to object for.
Okay, so